Salutations, everyone. We are back once again with interview with a guest that I've been following for some time now. So I'm so glad that he accepted my invitation to be a part of my platform. So I had to make sure that I put a bra on and come up in front of you guys, and so you guys could enjoy this one-on-one interview with our kind of entertainment. He is famous for, he's been doing this platform for some years now, doing very great reviews and commentary on our favorite Tyler Perry shows and movies such as Sisters, House of Pain, Assisted Living, I believe, Divorced Sisters. And he also does other reviews as well, such as Beyond the Gates that he just started doing it as well. I'm sure that you are going to enjoy some of what he has to talk about in regards to his journey. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I want you just to kind of get a taste of what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to share this.
What? 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 I don't know how you dealt with that woman for so long. Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to kill you both. Okay, the one you want. Please. Oh, no, I want you to feel the same pain that I did. Look who decided to join us. I guess one more body won't hurt.
No! They killed my baby!
They killed your baby! They killed your baby. So that was a clip from one of our guest reviews on Sisters. There's a character that my guest has a major crush on. She goes by Jasmine Borders on Sisters, and that was a reaction to witnessing the devastating loss, after she was brutally shot and killed. So that was from that. Are you still feeling are you grieving? Are you still grieving the loss? Are you still giving
a couple things? One, I'm not the same person I was back then. Wearing the same hoodie, ironically enough.
Right.
But yeah, just noticed that. Also lost a few pounds since then. But in terms of Jasmine, no, I haven't. I think the writers, for one, they started off very strong with season 9, the opening episodes. But when they carried that body bag out in episode 1, I kind of just couldn't believe it. That
you lost it.
Jasmine died. Yeah. Jasmine died, and yet Hudson is still alive. Gary's still alive. She was the only one that got shot. So it hurts. It really hurts. But just got to move on, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she'll be just fine. So here he is, our kind of entertainment, aka Jeremy Carden. He's in the building with us. So I want to give you, I want to just give us a little bit of backstory before we get to your journey on this platform, right? So are you originally from the DMV?
Let's see. Born and raised in Virginia. Yeah, that's where I've been. Born in 1991. Went to school here. Went to school at Liberty University, and I moved back to my hometown. So yeah, I've been here my entire life.
Oh, so did you go to school for media? Like any form of media? Was that your focus?
So to put this in perspective, I live in like the wooded area of the country, however you want to label it. I had dial-up from middle school to high school. I knew of YouTube. What you got to look at it from my perspective. Back in the day, it would take like 15, 30 minutes for like a 30-second video to load. So I knew what YouTube was. And then when you think about me being in, school, you had internet access, but there were a lot of rules of what you could and couldn't do. Hey, if you go to YouTube, it better be an educational thing. So a lot of the content creators that I believe were like the pioneers of making it as a content creator, like I'm drawing blanks, but I know there are a lot of people who paved the way. I had
Yeah.
no idea who they were. And then when
Mhm.
I went to college and got a taste of what high speed internet was like, I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, I can watch videos back to back. So when I first went to college, my major was, I believe, com- computer engineering. I did that for one semester, and I was good. I think I got like a B or a low A in my introductory course, but I opted to go communications because I grew up public speaking in churches and whatnot, and I just felt like that's more the lane I wanted to go in. So
Okay.
when I changed directions, I went into advertising and public relation, and one of my courses actually made us create a YouTube channel to kind of create like news around campus videos, that kind of thing. So I got a taste of YouTube, but keep in mind, I had zero clue I could make money from this at all. It was just some fun little hobby I was doing. And a friend of mine, Chris, we had an entire YouTube channel making like parodies of some of the higher ups on campus. Nothing disrespectful or anything, but a lot of them had certain quirks and whatnot. So we did a bunch of like dating videos, like, girls around campus, what is it like being a single guy at a campus that
Mhm.
pushes ring before spring, bring by spring. So for years, believe it or not, I was doing YouTube for fun. And it wasn't until after I graduated college that I started blogging about Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have Nots. YouTube just fell in the background. And going back to my degree, my undergrad was communications, advertising, PR. And it's just one of those things where, as a Christian, you're told that everything you do, is God's plan. So looking back, a lot of the things I did in college actually paved the way for me going to YouTube without me even knowing it. And it's such a blessing in itself because I know so many people who go to school, get their degree, but they wind up either working in a career where their degree doesn't really apply, or unfortunately, they just say, wow, I got in all that debt and I couldn't use my degree because this job is no longer, valid or whatever the case may be. So, ironically enough, my undergraduate degree did set me up for YouTube without me even knowing it. So, that's pretty much what it was. But in grad school, I did focus more on the religion side.
Mhm.
Two master's degrees, one in Christian leadership and the other one in biblical or theological studies. But that's more from my own desire to learn more, about the Bible and just,
Wow.
growing up in the church. Yeah.
Oh, so that okay, good. So let me talk more about that because I didn't know that you had that type of background in Christianity. So you have um, not only grew up in the church, but you also studied Christian leadership. So can you get more into that? What type of denomination and just go from there?
Baptist. I grew up in a Baptist church, which ironically, my house is literally right next to my church. Like if I pull out of my driveway and go around the curve, the church is right there. It's like the church, a field, a grove of trees in my house. So I grew up in a household where it was church all the time. I mean, I was part of so many organizations. I was a kid, first got into church, but then youth choir, Willing Workers Club, Sunday
Wow.
school, um, and there are like three or four more. But the church is completely different now in terms. It's really downsized in terms of membership, since unfortunately a lot of the ones who I was in the church, raising me through the church, if you will, have passed on. And now I look at things differently in terms of how the church is structured because there really aren't any young people. When I was growing up, there were at
Mhm.
least 15, 20 of us. And it's a small Baptist church. It's not like a mega church or anything like that. And everybody's related to everybody else. But I just knew even before I was 10 years old that the Bible itself was just so complex that every time you opened it or read the same scripture, you can pull something else from it. Not to mention, I remember growing up watching a bunch of Bible cartoons. Like Saturday mornings, I would wake up and watch TBN. They had like Superbook, The Flying House, and a few others.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
oh, you do.
I didn't know. I didn't know about those cartoons. Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I only was
These
familiar with
cartoons were because I mean, it would be Bible cartoons. Then after that, like one Saturday morning on Disney or Fox Kids or whatever. But I remember just having, just a thing about getting up in front of people and talking. I'm very introverted, but whenever I get in front of people, because, if I have to speak or whatever, the switch is just turned on and I'm able to do it no problem. And it's ironic because I know that I don't know if the statistics have changed, but I remember when I started taking like speech classes and whatnot, they said that studies show that public speaking is like the number one fear for most people, which is ironic because there's plenty of things I'm afraid of. Like I don't really do heights or anything. Like I never even been on a plane before, but public speaking, I can get on the stage and just tear it up. I think from a young age, people just thought that I'll be a preacher because you can go up there and just talk from your mind. It's like you don't have any paper or anything. You just go up there and do what you got to do. I don't know if I ever felt compelled to get ordained. I just knew from a young age, okay, the Bible is very in depth. However, when you grow up in a church, not every church is going to go as in depth as you would like. I just felt like I learned as much as I could from my church, but after finding out about a Christian university and the proximity, because Liberty is only an hour away from my hometown, I just felt like pursuing just a bit of my education from a religious perspective would be a way to go in depth. Because originally, my degree, which was, like I said, I started out in computer engineering, but then I changed to communications. I still opted to get a minor in biblical studies just because the Bible courses, for anybody who's listening, if you went to Liberty, there are so many required courses that are biblical. But I figured that if I looked at my degree completion plan, I could maximize how many credits, degrees I can get for the price of one. So I ended up getting, I just thought about it. It's been over 10 years since I've been in school. So undergrad was what? Communications, an associate's in religion, and a minor in biblical studies. Then I went to grad school, 2 religion master's degrees, but then I also figured out how to get all 5 of the graduate certificates from the School of Divinity. So I graduated with 2 masters, 5 graduate certificates, bachelor's, an associate's, and a minor in like 6 years, give or take. Because I had so many credits when I came into college. I was 17, yet I had enough credits to technically be a junior. So I just figured out how to do it myself and save a lot of money. But all of those things, because I never really thought that, okay, one day I'd be speaking in church, next day I'd be in college, working at a call center for 3 years until I shifted over to talking about Tyler Perry stuff. So it's kind of funny how things work out.
Right. And I was going to get into that, but before I get to that, I wanted to really commend you for your commitment towards, that's some, dedicated work, of you, going so much into the biblical studies, because I'm not a biblical scholar, it's so much that I still need to learn, even though I grew up in the church as well. And I am spiritual now, but there's so much that I know I can gain from you. And I do want to commend you for that, because everyone could commit to it as much as they, would like to. So that's commendable. I wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you. It reminds me of, how as you go through school, they don't really teach a lot regarding like Black history. And I think about so many content creators like Kev on Stage, for example. Sometimes his podcast, Here's the Thing, originally Righteous to Ratchet, but Righteous to Ratchet. Now it's Here's the Thing with Angel. And I love how passionate he is when he brings up certain things regarding like Black history and how he did the legwork back in his day, when to learn things outside of school that they didn't teach. So I felt the same way about the Bible, where you go to church, but you can only go so far, especially when you're like in a youth Sunday school. But when you go up to like the next level, when I was in graduate school, I was blown away by how in depth those classes went. You know, there were just so many different perspectives, and to really hammer in how the Bible is just so complex. Learning about so many different denominations or religion, and you just discover how small a percentage of the world knows about the Bible, especially overseas. Like I had to do a very in-depth paper for one of my like 500 or 600 level courses about one particular country and how it has a extreme lack of Christian influence. I think the country was either Turkey. I think it was Turkey, and it had like less than 1% Christians there,
I
just
could
because
believe,
there are so many different nations there.
I
It's
could
just
believe,
insane.
when it comes to Turkey, I could believe that.
Yeah, but
You
I
know,
mean,
no, I'm
oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe the lagging. I guess I'm getting some feedback. Do you have me on another window or something, or just that one?
Just this one. You're on my laptop right here.
Oh, okay, because I'm just getting a little bit of feedback as well. But I mean, it's something we could just get through. Yeah. So yeah, I could believe that. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I wanted to hear more about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, thinking about how in depth I go into the Bible, I think it kind of works into how I go in depth with these shows where I can watch the same episode as thousands of other people, but then pick up on things they miss and vice versa. So it's interesting how I was able to translate my desire to dig deeper into scripture into, well, digging deep into these shows I watch. So yeah, everything works out the way it's supposed to. Like, I don't know if I will ever decide to preach. I mean, I still speak in church
Don't
because,
say
well,
that.
that's how I grew up. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't know. I'll still be involved with the church, but I don't know if I'll ever officially, get that title.
Right.
Just because to me,
Right.
I feel like well, here's how I always felt about it. For me, pre-Liberty, because remember, I live in like a very remote area. Before I went to Liberty University, I thought that preachers, like, that's all they did. Like, okay, if I get ordained and I lead a church, that's all I do. But it wasn't until I went to Liberty and I learned about so many different individuals who started churches, or they are technically pastors, but they do things outside of that. So it really opened my eyes to how things actually work.
Oh, okay. And but I do want to get more into how, like, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to get more into how you were able to make that transition between your studies, between the biblical studies as well as all the other focuses that you did in school, and how did it become you committing to doing the commentary on your shows that you do on your reviews, and just building your platform. You have a huge platform, so I just really want to get more into your journey there.
Okay, let's see. I think, just to go through the timeline, I want to say I was still in grad school when I first started my blog, because my blog evolved into my YouTube channel. It was a WordPress blog, and the Haves and the Have Nots came out in 2013. I remember tweeting about the show when it came on, and I remember there was one particular tweet. Tinka Sumter tweeted something, I think, in regards to whether or not Candace and Jim love each other. And I responded to that with like a very in-depth question. And she's like, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, this was back during Twitter being like, what, 140 characters. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
I have so many thoughts and I don't feel like putting 50 tweets out there. So that's when I started blogging. Like, I would take time, what, because the Haves and the Have Nots was a nighttime show. So it was from what, like 9 to 10 o'clock. I would take in-depth notes. I would sit at my computer. I would spend all night typing up, proofreading and whatnot to make sure everything was, tight. So I spent about 2 years or so putting out blogs, and the cast loved them. But again, I wasn't making money from this. So all the while, I had eventually finished up grad school. Then I worked at Liberty as an academic advisor for 3 years. So basically, I was in a call center helping students get signed up for their courses, making sure, they made it from point A to point B or Z on their degree plans. And it was interesting because to me, I didn't know at the time what I would do after that job, but I figured, you know what? This is kind of like my way of giving back. When I had an academic advisor that helped guide me through, school and whatnot. So I figured this would be my way to contribute back. And I know people obviously think of me as an overachiever, which I am. But I
You are.
remember on that job, oh yeah, I was
Yes.
pretty much like the best. I remember broke a record. Most phone calls in one shift, 517 calls in a day, and I got a plaque to prove it. Just because once somebody challenged me and like I had to top it, and I did. So I was like the top guy, like getting the most financial check-ins, the most credits, like breaking all these records. But the thing was, I was getting paid peanuts, and I think for me, around my second year, a friend of mine was like, Jeremy, your blog is great. You get a lot of views, but nowadays more people watch or listen to YouTube videos and read blogs. So what you ought to do, take a few dollars, get a microphone and a camera and start doing YouTube. And I'm like, well, why not? Why not? But yet again, at this time, still had no idea YouTube was a monetizable thing. I just figured, well, this could be a way to expand my audience, so why not do it? And eventually, because I think my original channel name was my initials, JCC Theories to See. And I would do my have and have not episode reviews and theory videos. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually a lot faster than writing a blog. So I was able to put out several videos and it would take to write one blog. And the channel was doing okay. I mean, I was excited whenever a video got like 100 views. And I remember, I got like 200 subscribers. But then I just noticed how slow it was moving. So I said, you know what? How about I change the name? So I went from JCC Theories to See to Tyler Perry's The Haves and Have-Nots Review. It's like the channel blew up overnight. I went from just a couple hundred subscribers to like a few thousand. And I'm like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah, because
I kept going. I'm like, okay, this is great. Going up.
Yeah, so were you the only one? Because I mean, were among how many other people that was doing it? Maybe that helped because there's so many fans of the show and so many fans of Tyler Perry's work, and you were the only one that was so dedicated and so so in depth with your reviews and your commentary on it. And I don't think were many people doing it at that time, like you were.
Gotta give a shout out to me. This person is the originator, the OG YouTuber who talked about Tyler Perry stuff, Ashley Miller. Now, keep in mind, I was doing my blog and stuff. So I had no idea other people were doing the same thing because I keep thinking to myself, like, if I had started YouTube instead of that blog, there is no telling what could have happened from there. But yeah, she was like the one, I believe, people say was like the first one to do the YouTube stuff on so I know for me, I wanted to stand out. And the reason I stood out, in my opinion, is because any other person who talked about the show, they did episode reviews. Now they were in depth though, but I was the one who would delve in really deep. I would do episode reviews. I would do trailer breakdown videos. I would do separate videos for each of my theories. That way it branched out. So for me at the time, I felt like, okay, if there's one channel, I kind of want to see if I can compete with, it was Ashley Miller's commentary specifically on the haves and the have-nots. So I feel like what kind of separated us, at least my perspective was, I looked at her comments and people loved how real and how raw she was, because she's the kind of person where watching her content is like you're sitting right next to her in the same room and you're talking about it with her. And that's like the way she has a reach and a pull of her audience. And I said, I like her approach, but let me try to take things from the more analytical side. Like, okay, hey, we watch the same show, but let's dig a little deeper to see where the show's going. And the crazy part is, my theories were so on point. People thought I was Tyler Perry. Like, there's no way you couldn't be
Wow.
the guy writing this because you're so good at it. And I'm
Right,
like,
it's just
wow.
like you were,
This
right,
is
right. Yeah, that's amazing.
this is years before I. Oh yeah, thank you. It's just I never thought that people would think I was Tyler Perry simply due to how in depth I was with it. But that's because, you know, that's a testament to how good his writing was at the time. Because the haves and the have-nots was so amazing, you had to pay attention to every single detail. And eventually it kind of fell off quality wise, but I think that was more so due to the point of whenever he starts on a network, like when it was House of Pain and Meet the Browns on TBS, or Have and Have Nots and Love Thy Neighbor on OWN, when he has a couple of shows, his quality is over the top. Great. But
Mm.
whenever he starts doing multiple projects, that's when
Yeah,
I notice the quality of the writing starts.
yeah.
Yep, it's way too
Yeah,
much in one.
yeah. So people
But
thought
yeah,
that people thought that you was Tyler Perry in disguise.
yeah, I don't know why people would think that though. It's like, why would I spend time doing these videos when my show is #1 in ratings and I'm making movies and stuff? But eventually, I wanted to meet him though. I did. I felt
You
like,
will.
okay, you know, I feel like I would actually feel vindicated. Like, okay, I would be successful if I ever got to Tyler Perry Studios because I know for Ashley Miller, she did a video talking about how Tyler reached out to her and
See?
flew her and a friend
Wow.
out to like California. This was when the Has first came out and was hot. So it was like this huge party with Oprah, the cast of the various shows and whatnot. He pretty much took care of them, like, you know, hotel stays, spending money and whatnot. Like her video, like I remember watching that. And here's the thing: similar to me not knowing you can make money from YouTube, I never created this platform on the with the sole purpose of I want to meet Tyler Perry, I want to go to Tyler Perry Studios, that kind of thing. That was something people fed into my ego. They're like, yo, you're so good, you need to get this, you deserve that. And I'm like, wow, you know, my numbers are looking good, the cast love my stuff, maybe it will happen. And it didn't. And there was a time where I was bitter about that because I'm like, wow, okay, it's like, I mean, I'm working my ass off, and you know, I got people telling me how good I am, and you know, I this was during the time because there was a long time where the only show I did was the haves and the have-nots. Any video I did was related to the show, even if it was a hiatus period. Now I will kick myself though. I still do to this day. I wish I would have started reviewing If Loving You Was Wrong and Greenleaf when they first came out, because both of those shows, when I eventually started reviewing them, they had like 1 or 2 seasons left and they ended. I'm like, dang it. Because my mom said, Jeremy, look, I raised you in the church. You went to school and learned more about the religion. Like, Greenleaf is a show you need to review. And If
Why
Loving You is Wrong, that's a great show too.
review Greenleaf? Why didn't you start reviewing it? Why? Well, I'm curious. Why is that?
I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to fully. Well, you know what? I think at the time I was still on that. Okay, I want to get to Tyler Perry Studios. Greenleaf isn't a Tyler Perry show, so let me just focus only on that. But eventually, I had to listen to the audience because I figured the haves and the have-nots is going to end one day. I don't know when, but if I want to expand my channel and whatnot and extend my lifeline on YouTube, I needed to branch out, and that was the best thing I ever did. So eventually I started reviewing a lot more, but it got to the point where I think it was around year 2 of when I was doing YouTube full time. I said, okay, I'm working a lot. I'm putting a lot of effort into my channel, but let me take a closer look at my analytics page. And that's when I realized the sad truth. A lot of the shows that I enjoyed reviewing, such as ABC's reboot of The Wonder Years, Tyler Perry's Assisted Living, Tyler Perry's Bruh, and a few more. I took a closer look at the money each of those videos were making, and I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're telling me Assisted Living, I watch an episode, because the thing is, I watch so many shows, I have to watch them at double speed. I cannot, I don't have the time to just sit down and look at a 40-minute episode. I have to watch it at double speed. Thankfully, though, Tyler Perry shows have like a pacing thing where people talk, yet there are pauses. So I challenge anybody out there, pull up any episode of one of the Tyler Perry shows, increase the playback speed to 1.5 or 2 times. You will not miss a beat. And
You
that's
won't.
such a great, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, wow, they're talking at normal speed, but I'm watching it at double speed. And I had to take notes and then I had to record and edit. Editing isn't that hard because I typically use slideshows, you know, I use screenshots and then I talk over it. So I was looking at assisted living like, wait, this episode review only made like $1.25, or this episode review of Bruh only got like $2. But then when I'm looking at Have and Have Not, Sisters, House of Pain, some of those videos, $400 or $500, I'm like, yeah, I gotta cut back. It's like, why
Right.
would I spend time reviewing 6 shows that aren't yielding any results when I could do one video about this other show and it makes hundreds of times more in terms of ad revenue and views?
Yeah,
So
follow
that's
the
when I
audience.
started.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to,
Yeah,
yeah, follow
that's when
the
I,
audience. Yeah, because your audience will let you know what they like, what they're a fan of, and you just profit from that. So that's the best way to do it, because it can be overwhelming. So I just want to kind of grab on this real quickly, because I want the audience to understand how difficult it is to do this type of content on a consistent basis. And Jeremy does this. I don't know how. I don't think he ever sleeps. I think he just lives off of Red Bull or something. But because the content that he does, and he's very not only consistent, but he's always on point with his perspectives. His commentary is never falters. So if you look at all the videos that he's done, all the work that he put into this channel, you just have to understand the process that he's sharing with you, as far as editing, as far as taking notes, and actually have to watch the show. Sometimes you may have to watch the episode, as you would say, more than once to really give you real content of substance. So I just want the viewers to understand, like, people get the perception that when it comes to doing YouTube, they just think that, oh, you just sit in front of a camera, you just talk, or you just talk on this one or talk on that subject. It requires a lot of extensive research, and it requires a lot of time and dedication to this. So I'm glad that Jeremy is giving you some insight on how this process works, so you understand how difficult it is, but also very rewarding at the same time, because obviously he's doing a great job at this to get the type of fan base he has and the type of platform he has. And as big as it is, he's doing something right.
yeah, it really depends on what you're watching. I mean, there are people who just sit in front of the camera and they are successful at it. You know, they sit down, they have their notes, and then they just go. For me, I'm more one. I don't like being on camera. That's just always the way I've been. I've been more behind the scenes.
Me
It's
either.
ironic though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I grew up in front of people, public speaking. I can do that, but in terms of the camera, I don't know. I've just never been comfortable in front of one. But I'm more of the visual aid kind of person, so I love having photos up when I'm talking about stuff. Just especially if I'm talking about something that was a blink and you miss it moment, you know. So I would say that okay, I want to kind of map this out to give people insight here, because I know a lot of people, because I cannot tell you how many people I either went to school with or I used to work with at the call center. They're like, Jeremy, man, I got to do what you do, man. You work for yourself, you make your own hours, and you're making, I know you don't say the amount, but you make way more than you did when we were working together. I'm like, yeah. But the thing is, people look at the end result without looking at the process. And the
Mm-hmm.
number of people, and trust me, the number of people who are so eager to learn is like, hey, Jeremy, come on. How do I get to this bag, man? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. When I map out the process, that energetic nature fizzles out. Like the number of people, especially like during the pandemic, the number of people who hit me up like, hey, Jeremy, you got any tips on how to, do what you do? And I'm like, okay, I want to tell you, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not an overnight thing. It's going to take time. For me, I did YouTube for like 1.5, 2 years before I even made my first monetization check or direct deposit. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was what I was building an audience. I took my blog and turned it into a YouTube channel. I made a Facebook page, well, pages, groups, Instagram, Twitter. I was doing all the stuff without knowing that I could make money from it. So you have to build your audience. You have to, because monetization rules, I don't know. I know they changed them recently, but you had to have like a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, like a several thousand hours of watch time
Yes.
to even get
Yes.
approved for monetization. That is not easy if you
No.
don't have a following already.
Mhm.
So when I break it down for them, and I'm like, to be completely honest, when I quit my job, here's what happened. My roommate was like, Jeremy, your channel is doing good. What you ought to do is try to get monetized. Keep in mind, I was still at the call center and I had no idea I could make money from YouTube. I had no idea. But I figured, okay, I never thought about it. So I went and I got approved. And I remember during my lunch break, I was outside at a picnic table and I checked my email and it said direct deposit. I'm like, direct deposit from what? So I checked. I'm like, wait a minute, $640. And I went and looked. I'm like, this is from Google. And this was like, I got approved for monetization in like the middle of June or July. So that was only from like a half a month of videos. So then I did it again. I'm like, okay, let me put more effort into it. And then my next direct deposit was like a couple $1,000s. I'm like, whoa. So I did some more research and I'm like, okay, I'm over here in this call center busting my behind 40 hours a week, making and taking phone calls, making the university hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I remember during like my second year, remember I was like top dog in terms of like getting people to sign up for classes and whatnot. I'm like, so is there any way I can get like a commission or raise or something? They looked into it for me because my bosses were cool. They were cool. But, you know, unfortunately, the higher ups wouldn't allow it. And I'm like, you know what? I can either continue at this job making peanuts compared to what I make this school, or I could, and I was making like 36 or something. I forgot the exact amount, but I was making like 35 to 40,000 a year, give or take. I don't remember the exact amount. So I'm like, I could either stay here or go to YouTube full time. It will be a struggle at first, but the thing was, I always want to tell people this: do not quit your job to go full time in social media if you don't have a plan. I had enough money in my savings account to last for 6 months. Keep in mind, like I was in a 2-room apartment. Me and my roommate, we had 5 years together in the same place, went to school together and whatnot. Because we met our last year of college. Well, my last year of college. And, you know, we sat down one day and just kind of mapped out like, you know, our personalities. And if we would fit, stayed in the same apartment 5 years, cool. Everything was cool. So I had my half of the rent. I paid the Wi-Fi. He did the electricity. You know, I thought about food and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, I have enough money saved up for 6 months. If I quit my job and I do YouTube and it, you know, fizzles out, then, well, I'm good for half a year. I'll find another job. So I was making less money for about a year until I really blew up, because when I quit my job in October of 2017, I just hit year 3 of my call center job. And one of the main reasons I quit was because they gave me a raise when I hit my 3-year, but then I found out my pay bump of like $1,200 was the same as a person who hit their 5-year, hit their 10-year, and even people who hit 1 year. I'm like, you know what? I'm out. You know, I'd rather struggle and do my own thing than deal with this. And it turned out to be the right. But 2018 is when they had that adpocalypse when Logan Paul and whatnot took that video from that one forest with people and whatnot. So I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because I had just quit my job a few months ago, and now YouTube was messing up the ad money. And that's when I started doing eBay, because I've always been like a person, some would say hoarder, I call it collector. You know, toys and action figures and Pokemon cards. That's my side hustle. I got that plaque right behind me for 25,000 sales. So eBay, that's what I do on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
I
ask
know
you.
that my
Yeah.
best advice. Yeah, I tell people all the time, even though I'm doing good on, well, I'm doing great on YouTube, you have to have more than one stream money coming in because you just never know when something's going to happen. You know, like I'm single, no kids, so obviously it's just me. It's not like I have a wife, you know, who's working and I'm working. It's just one of those things where I do cross promotion. And see, this is where my advertising degree comes in, public relations, because whenever I mail out products to buyers, I have a business card and I have a detailed letter telling them about my channel. And then on my channel, I have
Okay.
links to my store and all my videos. So
Mhm.
that's how you do it. That's how you do it. But I want to say that my original goal, you know, was to meet Tyler Perry and whatnot. Still hadn't happened. I got bitter. I'm like, you know what? Let me hit 100K. I just want that plaque. I want to hit 100,000 subscribers. Then to me, that will be my moment of I made it. I finally did it. I'm successful. And I hit it. I was happy. But then I'm like, dang, I still ain't meet, you know, Tyler Perry. But here's when I knew I was successful. The actor Giovanni, I forgot his last name. He played I can't remember the character's name. Have and have nots. He was the guy who worked at the hotel who had that affair with Catherine. I can't remember his name. Was it
Yeah, I can't
Broderick
remember
or something?
his
It
name.
probably was.
I,
But
I'm,
either
I'm,
way,
yeah, I know you're talking about.
I can Google it real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, because I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Now it's getting on my nerves because like I know the name.
No,
So I just I
know.
was right. It's Broderick because I just Googled it.
It was Roderick.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
what was his
hit me up.
real name? You
Yeah,
can use
Broderick. It was Broderick.
no, but what was his real name? What's the actor's name?
Uh,
Uh,
Giovanni Gopardi. No, I messed up the last name,
oh, okay.
but
I was
his
just
first
curious.
name Giovanni.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, so he got. See, that's the thing when you get
Yeah, so
feedback from actors.
he
Yeah.
yeah. So he messaged me and he asked me, "Hey, Jeremy, you know I'm a big fan of your content. Could you tell me what were your thoughts on my performance this season?" I'm like, "Whoa,
Oh,
wait, what?"
you won short
Yeah, that
sports.
blew me away.
You see that?
Yeah,
Wow.
that just blew me away because I'm like, wow, okay, so these people not only watch my content, but they value my opinion. So I thought that was really cool. And then as time went on, I got to interact with a lot of the other cast members, you know, from the haves and the have nots, and a few, not that many from If Loving You Is Wrong. Because, like I said, I didn't review that until much later. And I think by the time Tyler's run on the OWN network started to end and he started shifting over to Viacom, I, man, I think by that point I was already established. And a lot of the cast, you know, reached out. Like I remember linking back to Jasmine, Crystal Lee Naomi, she was one of the first people from Sisters that I ever interacted with because she also had the role of Alyssa during the final couple seasons of the Haves and the Have Not. She was that, you
Right.
know,
Yes.
short that David was messing around with after Erica had passed. So that's what hurts because it's like losing Jasmine. It's like, oh man, I lost Crystal because she was the one who helped start me out. And ironically enough, Tinka Sumter from the Haves and the Have Nots low key was responsible for me starting my blog, which led to YouTube. And KJ Smith, to this day, I will always give her credit for this. I was
And
nervous because this was around Andy from Sisters.
mhm.
I didn't know what I like, you know, I'm a straight black male, and I didn't know if I would either be comfortable or have the ability to give good commentary on a television show geared towards black women, you know? So I'm like, what exactly can I get out of Sisters that won't sound like I'm
A male's perspective.
misogynist?
No, a male's
Yeah,
perspective.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember she just told me, look, don't worry. I think that once you watch the show, you'll find something that you can gravitate towards to use in your commentary. I'm like, you know what? I'll go for it. Because the thing was, you know, I grew up in, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Well, depending on when you were born. I grew up in a house that had one TV. And then eventually As time went on, you know, I had the little rabbit ears, the antenna, little TV you can carry in one hand. But in terms of televisions with cable, they were like what, two? One in my parents' room, one in the living room. And you know, back then it's like, hey, you know, you watch or we watch, unless you know we're not home or something. So watching shows like Girlfriends
Soap
or Living
operas.
Single and whatnot.
Do you watch soap operas too?
Yes and no. I mean, it's the cliche of, hey, if you're homesick and you're at your aunt or
Your
grandma's house,
house,
watch
yeah.
it. So I did watch soaps, but I didn't watch them with the, okay, I'm remembering everything like I do now.
Okay,
So,
got
and I'll get to beyond, we'll get to Beyond the Gates. We'll get to Beyond the Gates. But yeah,
it.
KJ was like, hey, you know, watch it. I'm pretty sure you'll get something out of it. And I did. And I remember the videos weren't doing so well. I remember my sister's content wasn't really hitting. And I remember I actually quit for like 3 weeks, but somebody's like, Jeremy, get back into it. It's really good now. So when I did, this was like, I want to say mid to the second half of season one. And when I got back into it, I'm like, okay, because ironically enough, the first video from Sisters that kind of did a lot of numbers was, will Andy and Jasmine work together to bring Gary down? And then after that, Preston was introduced, and you know, Aaron with Karen, their kind of relationship kind of blossomed from where it was early in season one. And Sisters took off, and I was confident. I'm like, okay, you know, as a man, I actually do. I can bring up some things either from my own experiences or my own takes on the characters. And Sisters became, I think, the new haves and have nots by blowing the channel up. And from there, you know, The Oval, Ruthless, which I only watched the first 3 seasons. See, I know listening to your fans is important, and I know that there are a number of shows. See, I always knew that if I reviewed certain shows, my channel will be bigger than it is now. But here's my thing. Here's my attitude. I only watch and review shows that I enjoy because it doesn't feel like work. It's fun. Who doesn't like watching stuff and talking about things they love?
Right.
You know, engage, because nowadays it is just so easy for anyone to get a microphone, get a camera, rant about it. Oh, Marvel movies suck. Oh, this show is too woke. Oh, this show is awful. And there's a whole market for it. Like, I could easily rip into these shows. Technically, I do, but here's the difference. When cast members
Yeah, some
hit me
substance.
up in my, thank you, yes. When
Mhm.
cast members tell Jeremy, here's the thing. Here's why you stand out. When you talk about a show, you don't just talk crap about it. You don't say the wigs suck, the writing sucked, the acting sucked. You go into detail, you tell us what you like, you tell us what you don't like, and usually it's about like the depth of the characters and story, because Tyler Perry gets so much hate because this, that, and the third. But my difference is, and I've always kind of lived by this statement, like, it's easier to uh hang on, it's easier to criticize than to create. And
Mm,
when you think about what Tony does, yes, it is easy to point out. I mean, let's be real, there are a lot of things I can point to and say, okay, that no. But I respect the man's work ethic, and you cannot deny the fact that he has this humongous catalog, and from that he's been able to change so many people's lives. Like, I don't work for Tyler Perry. I have never met Tyler Perry. I have never talked to him over the phone, email, or anything like that. I'm not on his payroll. Every dime I make is from Google. So technically, Google is my boss, low key, but it's not. But I always look at it from the perspective of, if I ever met him in person, I can at least proudly say that, hey, the 11,000 plus videos I've done, you could check them out and see that I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't passionate about your work. You know, I don't think there's anybody on this platform that can say, hey, I despise Tyler Perry content and I make videos on it, but they eventually fall off because it's the popular thing to do. It is. Whether it be, you know, like I said, from the wig choices or the writing and whatnot, but it goes deeper than that. I think for me personally, I'm just waiting for that kind of resurgence of the Tyler Perry we know and love from like the plays, the OG House of Pain, the Haves and the Have-Nots, because we know the qualities there. And I mentioned this in one of my videos. He was on Den of Kings. It's like Kirk Franklin's new kind of sit down,
Yeah, I saw
where
it.
he has a bunch of guys there and they talk about their careers and whatnot. Yeah, and Tyler mentioned how when it comes to the budget he gets from studios, it's basically nothing compared to what some of his white counterparts get. Like, hey, they get like 25 million per episode. I get like 500 to 750,000. And he mentioned how, hey, if y'all give me a real budget, I can show you what I can really do. So I just look at it from that perspective of, oh, okay, so that kind of explains things, I guess. But it really depends on how you look at it. I know DeVal actually mentioned that as well in a recent interview. I think him and Crystal were on they were promoting Sisters, and he said something about that. But yeah, it's like I'll always respect the man for what he's done. Like he has indirectly changed my life because without his shows, I wouldn't be on YouTube. But yeah,
Right.
you know, regardless of the things I don't like, I can't deny the man is talented, and you know he has a way of connecting with his audience. You know, like he said so famously, he knows the pulse of his audience, and love or hate the content, his movies are going to continue to go number one. His shows on like these streaming platforms, I think that's like a huge win for him too, on Netflix and Prime Video to put out, you know, a show or movie, and it just does record numbers. And it's just something that really shows that he knows how, he's like a chameleon. He knows how to evolve in terms of readjusting from, you know what, the pandemic kind of killed the movie experience. So instead of releasing my movies in theaters, let me just go ahead and put it on Netflix. Let me put it on Prime Video. And it's just insane how much, like, I don't even know if I can fathom what goes on through his mind because of the things he comes up with in his
Right, right.
projects and whatnot. So I also take into, yeah, I take into account like the assembly line of how he creates so much in such a short amount of time. Like for all we know, he could have like 20 movies in a back catalog that haven't
Mhm.
been released yet or different shows, because I think that the studio has been more careful about what they release, because now it's like there are times where things pop up. I have no idea. Like another thing I want to, you know, confirm is that it's not like I get stuff ahead of time. Like, Jeremy, are you so accurate because somebody sent you a script or a trailer? No,
Right.
I only know what
I
is
mean, you
based
ain't got that much
online.
juice, Jeremy. You ain't got that much juice out here.
I mean, it's just one of those things where people just assume a lot, but I do feel like they haven't really been that accessible, because apparently when they were filming Sister Season 8, there was like a mandate like, hey, no talking to the press, no, you know, taking photos and posting them, basically to keep things under wraps. So I don't know if that had anything to do with me or other people, but yeah, they just have been more adamant about not putting things out to the public. Even though Divorced Sisters, I did find that stuff on Google and people were mad about it. But hey, that's not my fault. My
Right.
attitude is this:
It
if
was public.
something is exactly, because I remember my account on Instagram. Oh yeah, I don't really do TikTok like that. I want to get into it, but I'm iffy because I don't know if they're going to shut it down again, and I don't want to put time and energy into something and it gets shut down. So when it comes to content creation, folks, when you make something, make sure you create something you can branch out. Like I make YouTube videos, but if I wanted to, I can put the videos on Instagram. I can put clips on Twitter, just because you never know when something's going to shut down. You never know when YouTube is going to change the rules. So that's a piece of advice there. You know, make sure your content is accessible on multiple platforms. But I think from the cast perspective, you know, say what you will about Tyler Perry, I have never interacted with a cast member who had anything negative to say. Everybody has said the same thing. He changed my life. He knows what he wants when he's on set, like he's in the zone. I think one of my favorite look, the man is amazing in terms of his generosity and whatnot. But I
Mhm.
think for me, this is what solidifies Tyler Perry Studios to me. When I have actors tell me, man, Jeremy, when I did this movie for, Lifetime, or I did this thing for Netflix or whatever, I noticed the different vibe from Tyler Perry Studios to this particular studio, because Tyler Perry Studios, like, it's like military, like soldier, like you stand at attention, like, because you're that disciplined because of the fast-paced environment. So it was such a shift to be on this Hollywood set and things are just so relaxed. And I remember somebody told me they were in a movie with like Peter Parros, David from the Haves and the Have-Nots.
Love him.
They were, yeah, I love his voice, the David voice. People told me that on set, people looked at him for guidance because like he was so experienced and knew how a set ran based off his time with Tyler Perry. So that just goes to show, when you go to Tyler Perry's studio, and that's something Tyler Perry says, when he has people working the cameras and whatnot, he wants to make sure the employees at his studio are qualified when it comes to working in other places. So Tyler Perry Studios is like, what's it called? The Dream Building. The name, it lives up to the name. So like I said, we might have mixed feelings about the end result as to what we see on our TV screens, but in terms of what goes on behind the scenes, nothing but respect for them. And in terms of what I do,
Yeah, I just wanted to say, also to insert the fact that the way you was able to break down that perspective, I nothing but respect for that. I really do appreciate that perspective because yes, Tyler Perry does get a lot of backlash, and I do understand why that is, because we do expect more from him because we understand it, because he is capable. We understand how capable Tyler Perry is, but we also think, we also feel that he's arrogant as well, because it seems like he doesn't really want anyone else to touch his work. And I understand that part too, because you are sensitive about your art, and I get that. But I think that if he's able to get more writers and get more people on board to push this thing forward in the right way, especially because he has so many projects on his lap, I think it will make a difference. But I really like your perspective in regards to how the process works and his work ethic and how he's able to put all these shows out here and give us something to be entertained by, whether we like the writing or like the acting or not. We are still entertained. We're still watching. So I really enjoy that perspective. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And that's something I always try to, mention, is that whenever I say something that isn't, and trust and believe, there are plenty of times where I say things that are not the most popular opinion, but I have to say that when it comes to Tyler Perry, like the product or not, he wouldn't be a billionaire if people weren't watching his stuff. And I really do. That's something, it's different when I think of myself in 2025 versus when I first started YouTube. Like, the questions I would love to ask Tyler face to face or on camera or whatever are drastically different, from back in like 2018 to 2025, because there is a level of arrogance. I mean, you kind of have to be in order to be successful. I mean, I know I have an ego myself, but at the same time, I learned that, I have to listen to my audience, because don't get me wrong, there are plenty of things I know that they wish I would review, like All the Queen's Men or Ruthless again, and certain things like that. But see, and this is where things get a bit conflicting for me as an individual, just a person, because sometimes I think about my religion versus the content I watch. Like, when going back to, growing up in the church and whatnot, you kind of open your eyes a bit more when the people you see running through the aisles and praying and preaching, they don't necessarily practice what they preach, or at the very least, what is it, like the do as I say, not as I do mentality of, no tattoos, no partying, things like that. But then you find out, wait, this deacon got arrested when they were younger with this, or that person over there who preached about, being celibate until marriage, they got 3 different kids by 3 daddies when they were like in their 20s and things like that. So for me, when it comes to being a Christian, I got to the point where I thought about, okay, do I want to live this life because the Bible tells me to, or do I want to do it because I want to? And I think about being like if I could do it all over again, I would probably have waited to be baptized when I was a bit older. I think I was like 8 years old, and obviously I understood what it meant to be baptized. However, I think I wish I had a better grasp of the religion before I did get baptized, if that makes sense. Because hey, like I said, I grew up in the church since I was a baby, so I got the feel of it. But when you're older, you start to form your own opinions,
Yes,
and I'm not
yes,
saying anything against forming opinions against the Bible, but it's the people who raise you in the church that you start to wonder, are they the best teachers? And that low key influenced my desire to learn more about the Bible outside of this Baptist church in the country. And
mhm,
that's why I went so far in my education, because there was just so much to delve into. I mean, I think DeVal mentioned this in one of his interviews about how he grew up in the church and he asked questions, but he got like scolded for it. Like, don't you
yes,
question the Bible and things like that.
yes.
And how he opted to follow the faith in his own way, like not going to church, but he still, does his own thing. But I think that as I got older, I started making my own choices. Like I don't smoke or drink. That's not really based on my religion. That's just my own personal thing. I don't
Right.
indulge in either.
Me either.
When it Yeah. And when it comes to, like other things like tattoos, piercings, I don't have a desire for any of that stuff. So I feel like when it comes to the content that I engage with, I do feel like some of it for me is a bit too graphic, like, either nonstop sex or nudity. And I'm not a fan of horror or gore. So some of the more violent scenes, I ain't gonna hold you. I either turn my head or I don't watch it at all. So yeah, I know for a fact if I reviewed all the Queen's Men, I would probably have way more views. But for me, I just couldn't do it,
Yeah, I know you
And
mentioned it. You mentioned
yeah,
it before because you always talk about, I don't know if I want to view all this, all these men, dancing so
yeah,
erotically. I understand that, but it's not. It's more than that, though. It's more. It's a storylines to it as well. There's more content there. More
yeah.
content there.
Yeah, Beauty in Black kind of falls into the same category, and I hate it because I know people want me to review it, but at the same time, I got to stick to my morals. I don't want to sell out. And look, I know the fan base won't care; they want what I have to offer, but I just know for me, it's like there are limits to these things.
Right. Have
And
your
when it
boundaries.
comes to and when it comes to like Ruthless, I kind of got sick of the people being stuck. It felt like Gilligan's Island, like, okay, they're never going to get off the compound. But,
Right.
and the thing, here's the beautiful thing, Tyler Perry has so much content out there now, there's pretty much something for everyone. And I can
Yes.
honestly say that I don't review everything because there's too much of it. I mean, even I have to take breaks. Now, when I first started doing YouTube, I was working harder than I was on my other job. And remember, I was doing excellent on that job. But the thing is, I was putting in more hours. Okay, I got to watch these shows. I got to take these notes. I got to edit. I got to post. Then I got to take the post and then put them in this group and that group. But I started to learn my fan base was growing to the point where I didn't have to do much of the carrying or the heavy lifting because when I posted a video, hey, these people are sharing it for me. And when it comes to the news and whatnot that I do commentary on, people are telling me, hey, Jeremy, I found this online, or I found this trailer, or here's this picture. So a lot of my fan base are doing a great job bringing me this information. So that's when I started to reevaluate how I did things. So I think around year 2 is when I started, I wouldn't say working less, but I was working smarter, not harder, especially when balancing eBay and YouTube. So I want to say that for anybody thinking about doing this, you got to treat it like a real job. Because my nephew, he starts high school on the 18th. So yeah, in about a couple of weeks, he goes to high school. And the thing is, he's going to be graduated soon. 4 years will fly by in
Yes.
no
Yes.
time. And I just think about how my generation compared to his generation is completely different. When I was going to school, hey, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get your degree, get a good job, you're set. Your student loans, oh, you'll be able to pay it back. But halfway
Right.
through college, that's when the game shifted. It's like, oh, that degree, you need experience now. But how am I supposed to? I'm in school. Like, well, what's going on? So when I graduated, it's like that 4-year degree. I wouldn't say it didn't mean anything, but I cannot tell you how many people I know ended up working jobs where they were better off just going into the workforce after high school as opposed to going to college and getting in debt. So the
Yes.
game shifted. It's like YouTube, I remember going in school, it's like, get off those video games. You can't do anything with that. That's not going to take you anywhere. But now
Mhm.
you have teenagers, 20-year-olds making bank from
Yes.
streaming video games.
Yes.
YouTube. There was a time where I was like embarrassed that I was doing that. It's like, I'm a YouTuber. You're a what? A YouTuber. Nowadays, people will line up like, yo, help me get there. How do I do it? And I tell my nephew, like, you don't know what you're going to do because maybe that thing isn't created yet. I had no idea I was going to be doing this when I was a kid. I just had one goal when I was a kid, have a job where I didn't have an alarm clock. That's it. That was my goal, to have a job where I don't have an alarm clock. And thankfully, I have one. And you think about how college nowadays, I'm not saying college is useless or anything. I'm just thankful my education winded up being useful in what I do now. But I think that the job market has shifted to a point where they're more lenient on not having a degree. Um, and not to mention, there are far more opportunities nowadays than when I first, because when I first started college, my first semester was online, but a lot of the courses were not. So by the time I graduated, that's when it felt like everything became accessible online. So if my nephew wanted to, he probably wouldn't even need to go to campus like I did. He could just like stay in, the hometown and do college through his computer.
Online.
And I mean, exactly. And that saves a lot of money, like dorm and amenities and things like that. So it's unknown because he kind of wants to do what I do. But for anybody curious, like again, this takes hard work. I mean, yes, if you create your rhythm, it's a lot easier. But I think I told my sister, I'm like, what you ought to do is one summer make them work like a factory job or restaurant just for one summer, because I think about my experiences. I've only worked like 3 or 4 jobs. 1 month at a Bojangles for a summer, before I went to my senior high school. One summer in the flag factory that my mom works at, Annan, and then one summer I was an intern. Like I was like an administrative assistant at the community college in town, and then 3 years at the call center. So I've worked 4 jobs. Those days where I don't think I want to do YouTube anymore and whatnot, I think about, wait, Jeremy, think about how blessed you are to be in this opportunity now versus working under a supervisor, being told when to go to lunch, being a grown person, only having like a 5-minute bathroom break or something. It gives you perspective because there are days you want to quit. Like there are highs and lows to this. Like some months numbers are great, some months numbers are down. Other times you got to worry about, have I fallen off? Those feelings are real. But I
Right.
think that what sets me apart is that I found a lane that not many people have traveled down. It's not like I really have that much competition because, like I said, at first I'm like, okay, let me see if I can compete with Ashley Miller's numbers. But then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm doing my thing. But what I admire about Ashley is she is so diverse in what the content she does. Like she's like doing Tyler Perry stuff, but then she's doing like Power or Raising Kion or
Okay.
Real Housewives or that stuff, those other shows. And I think for me, that's why I created my backup channel. Technically, I created the backup channel due to demonetization back in 2023, but that channel I converted it to a platform for non-Tyler Perry stuff because I started doing the soap opera Beyond the Gates because fans wanted me to
Well,
do it,
let's get into
and
that.
I did it on my main
Yeah, let's get into that. Beyond the Gates.
and
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I remember they announced it like, yeah, they announced in like late 2023. It's like, hey, we're going to be working on like the first predominantly black soap opera. And I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And a year passed, and then they finally announced it. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? This show is 5 days a week. This isn't like the Tyler Perry stuff where it's like one a week. And I said, you know what? Y'all be patient with me. Let me see if I can do it. And it turns out, yeah. So like I said, I grew up kind of watching. So I knew what soap operas were. So not watching soap operas in like 20 something years, I'm like, am I able to follow through with this? And then I fell in love during like the first episode. And thankfully, I think this was my rite of passage because when I had people in my comments for my reviews going, Jeremy, I've been watching soaps for like 50 years and I love what your thoughts on it. Apparently, my commentary is so good. People want me to do like other soap operas. And I'm like, look, I appreciate that, but I don't have it in me.
Right.
To do other shows, that's like
yeah.
And especially because I do separate reviews for each episode of Beyond the Gates. Like there are other people who review the show, but they do like an end of the week compilation.
Right.
And that's understandable. Not everybody is doing YouTube full time. Some people are doing like it's their side hustle. So I mean, I know The Bold and the Beautiful and things like and The Young and the Restless, I believe. I know they're hits, but Beyond the Gates, it's like I felt connected to that one because it's a show that I could jump aboard at the beginning. So I wouldn't be lost with anything. It's not like I have 15 years of back catalog. No, this is new. This is fresh. This is historic. And I like it. And the other channel, like I started reviewing it on this one, but I noticed the views weren't great. I'm like, maybe it's because the algorithm favors the Tyler Perry stuff. So I went to my other channel and it's doing pretty well over there. So yeah, my kind of entertainment is a channel for pop culture, music, a little bit of anime here and there, and of course Beyond the Gates. Our kind of entertainment. Oh yeah. I changed the name from the Haves and the Have-Nots review. Well, actually, I took the Tyler Perry out of the name because I got sick of people thinking I was Tyler Perry. So I'm like, the Haves and the Have-Nots review. But then when I found out the show was ending, I'm like, okay, I got to change the name because I need to like figure out a name that I won't have to shift if the hit show I'm reviewing ends. So I remember Fox had the show Our Kind of People. And I'm like, wait a minute. What if I just shifted it around to say Our Kind of Entertainment? Because I watch and review predominantly Black content. So I'm like, hey, this is for us. So boom, I stuck with the name. And then ironically enough, My Kind of Entertainment, the name is just simply My Kind of Entertainment. Basically, hey, this is the stuff I like to talk about outside of Tyler Perry. So that's pretty much how I came up with the name dynamic there.
Yes. Okay, makes sense. And I again, I do appreciate all of this knowledge. I mean, this is so much that we was able to pack on in. And so I'm hoping that even if they don't join us live, that they catch the replay and just really allow all of this information to marinate because you was able to take us through your journey between your education, biblical studies, church, your career, how it all started, how is it still going right now, and you was able to get so much of a great perspective with Tyler Perry's quality of work, how your actors interact with you, and how you're able to be successful in your reviews. I mean, you gave us so much, so I really, really appreciate that. So I hope that you come back soon again, and we could just kind of get more into other stuff, and we could kind of even talk about some of the shows that you review as well. So I'm hoping that you're able to come back to this platform. I really, really enjoy all that you shared with us, and I hope again that it's also a testimony as well. If you read between all of the stuff that you shared, it's also a testimony as to where you are right now. So I do appreciate that. So do you have any final words for us?
Wow, I mean, yeah, it's crazy how we talked about so much, yet there's so much left that I could say.
Yes.
But I just want to say that, if there's something you want to do, just go for it. Like I said, if you get to a point where you can look back and realize all the things you did led up to what you're doing now, that's just a blessing in itself. And I just say all the time that, sometimes I've always been goal oriented, as you could tell, like from the number of degrees I have and the content and platforms I have. And sometimes, you just need to take a moment to realize like, wow, I impact more people than I realize, because sometimes, I just look at the numbers, but you know, I'm pushing to hit like 300,000 subscribers by the end of the month on my birthday, August 29th. And I just forget sometimes that there's a person behind every subscriber. So knowing that there are people who, you know, love my content and, you know, depend on me to get recaps, because a lot of people like, I don't watch the show anymore, but I watch your content. It's just the encouragement. So I think that, yeah, it makes a difference. It really does. I think that the most important thing is to don't quit on yourself. Everybody, is cliche, but it is true. If you want to do YouTube, if you want to do a podcast, if you want to do whatever, everybody starts at zero. Your first video is not, well, I don't want to say not, because you never know. That first video could be viral, but your first video might not go viral. Your first podcast might not go viral. You might make mistakes. So, you know, learn from them. Listen to your audience, because I know for a fact from my own experience, similar to what Tyler Perry goes through, there are audience members who give you constructive criticism, and then there are those who hate. I know when I first started, I hated the trolls. I'm like, well, yo, why are these people going at me? But then I realized those same people blowing up my comments, going in on me about this and that, they are doing nothing but helping me make money. Their views and their comments help the algorithm push my video out. So I'm like, wait, they can hate on me and they're putting more money in my pocket. Okay, fine, whatever. Listen to those who care. You trust and believe. You can tell those who are hating versus those who actually want to see you improve. And also the fact that YouTube isn't for everybody. I get that. Maybe it's not going to be your full-time career, but it could be your outlet into something greater. Like I tell my nephew, like, look, I'm about to hit 8 years full-time YouTube. I was able to get this house. I was able to continue living in terms of on my terms, creating my content, selling my eBay stuff and so forth. And I don't know when it will end. Like it could end tomorrow. It could end in 2027. I don't know, but I don't know where the journey is going to lead next. For all I know, this YouTube could be the beginning of something else. I have no idea, but I just say, you know, enjoy the journey for however long it is, and believe in yourself. I remember when I quit my job, I told my mom, look, I'm not asking you or dad for any money or anything like that. I'm just telling you, this is my plan, and I'm not going to ask you for any money. I already got myself situated. Just believe in me. My mom said she did, but I remember her and my dad were instantly asking me, when are you getting another job? When are you getting another job? And I remember like, okay, you know, I got to bet on myself, because ironically enough, my coworkers wanted me out because of like, Jeremy, you do so much at this job, but it's dead end. You are better off jumping aboard this YouTube thing and seeing where it goes. So listen to those who encourage you, because it's always the people who you least expect to be your biggest encouragement. It's like they always say, like, sometimes you'll get more support from a stranger than the people who are inside your circle.
True.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. So I just say, you know, on yourself, even if don't look for anybody else's approval too. Don't, because I remember I was low key thinking like, what, maybe my parents will. I remember a coworker like, Jeremy, don't do that. Like, why are you waiting for their approval? Go out there and do it. So hey, just do it. Like the Nike slogan said, just do it. And if it doesn't work, guess what? Maybe there's another lane to call. It doesn't have to be YouTube. Maybe there's a person listening who wants to open their own like salon or restaurant or whatever the case may be. Just do your homework. Make sure you know what you're doing. Don't quit your real job until you have a plan.
Yes.
And make sure you're able to pivot, you know, because you never know. Like, nobody expected that pandemic to happen. A lot of people lost their, you know, businesses because of that. So be able to pivot when needed. Yeah.
Yes,
those
absolutely.
are pretty much my best facts right there.
Okay. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So I like to ask this question. And I enjoy the answers that I give. So here we go. So if you have the opportunity to have 5 people, dead or alive, sit at your table, who would they be and why?
Wow. I don't know, because I'm thinking like, you know, with the actresses I love, like, okay, I know, Kristen, like I said, Naomi, like, from the Oval.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me be realistic. Okay. I would love to sit with Michael Jackson. Me and him had the same birthday, August 29th. And there's so much,
Gosh.
as a fellow Virgo, I have a lot of that could explain my perfectionist attitude. Tyler Perry, of course, he'd have to be at the table.
Mhm.
Crystal Lee Naomi, she got to be at the table. I can't. Jasmine has to be there. I couldn't go about it. I would also have to put. Oh, this is tough. This is tough. Dead or alive. And we could just talk about anything, right?
Yes.
Probably. Jacqueline Beacom. She played Amanda in the Haves and Have-Nots. She was
Oh.
like my first. She was my first Tyler Perry crush. She is such a sweetheart. We talk every now and then. She's
Oh,
awesome.
really? That's so cool.
And it really is, because there are a lot of casts I actually do talk with frequently. I really need to get more into doing interviews. That's something I need to do.
Yes.
Number 5. Gosh, I don't know, that 5th spot. That's a Russian roulette thing. I would probably say, man, I would say Ashley Harper, Jean from the Oval. You know,
Oh,
Jean from the Oval. So that's like 3 crushes and 2 inspirationals.
yeah, okay. Now here go my final question before we wrap up. So this question I always like to ask is taken from the late James Lipton from Inside the Actor Studio. So Jeremy, if we were to arrive at the pearly gates, what do you want God to say?
Whew. Now you can rest, because I feel like I'm always working. Either that, or as they say in church, one day I hope he looks at me and say, "Well done," to make it seem like everything I do down here actually, had some sort of purpose. I'd like to think I, made some sort of impact, not just through YouTube, but like I said, growing up, talking in churches, and then, like I said, the satisfaction of when I was at the call center, getting emails or calls from students just thanking me for helping them, either getting through a rut where like they thought they couldn't finish their degree, or helping them get through graduation or whatnot, or even a tough semester. And with the channel, like I said, just looking at the numbers and thinking about how many people whose lives I touched, there are so many people. I had no idea. I didn't know I inspired other people to do YouTube, and that blew me away. People
Yes.
like, I believe, I think she'll let me know if I'm wrong, but I think like Ruthless TV is one of the YouTubers I'm aware of who said, yeah, I started doing it because I saw what you were doing. And when it comes to eBay, I know a few friends in my circle who I used to work with. They got into the card and collectible flipping game because of me. One of which, he got a friend together and bought this like old gaming store, and they're making bank off of that. And I'm just so happy to see that, it's one thing to have people admire you, or it's one thing to have people ask for advice and get discouraged because of the hard work it takes, but it's just like a extra level of satisfaction when someone takes your advice, puts in the work, and you see the results of that. It just goes to show that there are so many lanes of making revenue. Also, don't be jealous of people. Like, there's really no need for that. There are more than enough opportunities out. Look at the number of podcasts, YouTube channels, or whatever it is you want to do. Think of how many other people out there doing it. The only thing you need to focus on is not jealousy, but what can I do to stand out from the rest? Because originally I wanted to do like comic books and anime. That was really what I wanted to do as a YouTube channel, but I saw so many other people doing it. I'm like, okay, I know what I can do, but I'm like, wait a minute, what can I do to stand out? What's something that no one else is really getting into that I could? And thankfully for me, it was Tyler Perry stuff. And thankfully, the branching out has allowed me to flex my discussion skills with other genres. And as I said recently, soap operas. And I said in a post, like, look, YouTube is great, is what I do, but even I need a break sometimes. So I don't see myself in the foreseeable future reviewing another soap opera outside of Beyond the Gates. However, knowing that you all appreciate my commentary and with how well the videos are doing, if I ever opted to do something outside of Tyler Perry or just stop watching Tyler Perry stuff, I know I can jump aboard the soap opera train and I'll be good. So yeah, just never be afraid to branch out because, you know, like I said, sometimes you think you know exactly what you want to do, like the one thing you want to do, but it might pivot you in another direction where you might be even more successful than you originally thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I really appreciate that perspective. And that's a good way to end this. So ladies and gentlemen, our kind of entertainment. Mhm. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed. I think to me is a master class of this journey. And I know that this live is almost an hour and a half long, but it's worth watching. So I know that some of you may not make it to the live, and that's okay. But please watch the replay of this video because it really gives you a deeper dive into this experience and how it could catapult you, and even if it may not be for you, you may not do it for a long period of time, but while you're at it, while you're in this journey, it would give you the opportunity to stand out enough to where you're still memorable. Your content is still memorable. Even you decide to not even do it any longer, or you decide to go another lane, your content could be worthy of an audience. So I just want to thank our kind of entertainment so much for coming on this platform. Again, I hope that he returns and share more of his wisdom, more of more discussion on different topics, and more about, even like I said, if you're a fan of these shows that he reviews, we could dive more into those as well, because we do like to talk about the shows as well as the characters. So I hope that we get in more into that. So I'm going to have all this information below this video in the description box. So in the meantime,